Hey everybody! Just a quick reminder, these stories aren't always public perfect conversation. I do use a lot of strong language in here, and I talk about some things that aren't always necessarily pleasant to hear. But I hope you still enjoy it. Also, please don't forget to check me out on everywhere you can find music and other podcasts. Mostly, follow me on Patreon. For just $1 a month, you can get ad-free content, 24 hours early access to episodes, and for $3 a month, you get the options of having community chats with me and some of the other fans. For $5 a month, you get voting powers on any changes I want to run through the fans. You also get priority requests and suggestions, live Q&As, community chats, one-on-one chats with me personally, either through messages or through calls, and maybe we can even set up a time to be a guest on the show. And of course, that's in addition to everything from the lower tiers. I'm planning on doing more with the community as it grows. With that being said, let's get into the episode. Hey everybody, welcome back. This is Stories from Behind the Counter, and as always, I'm your host, Alpha. First, I want to give a quick reminder, I am putting out some other stuff here soon. I've got another show coming out called Local Histories, so keep your eyes peeled. I do want to say that this one is going to be a little more difficult to put out regularly, so don't expect a regulated schedule for it. I've got to do a lot of research, got to make sure I'm vetting the information, make sure I'm not putting out bad information, or worse in my opinion, sounding like I'm just reading somebody else's script or reading off of a Wikipedia page, trying to make sure I can put it into my own words and explain the same thing that's got very few sources. Or even when it does have a few sources, as I'm finding, it all leads back to the original source. And everyone's trying to figure out how to word it all differently anyway. That being said, we're going to go ahead and move on to the next subject. We all know being an adult can just kind of suck sometimes, mostly when it comes to trying to find the energy to do anything besides go to work and take care of the family at home, and much less take care of the home itself. We all know that working in retail, fast food, or anywhere overall, just in our adult lives, sometimes you need some extra help getting a little bit of energy. But you're not trying to get cracked out, especially when you're trying to cut out extreme amounts of sugar, caffeine, and just overall be a little healthier. Well, Aspire Energy is the perfect replacement to get you through the day. It's a green tea energy drink with only 80 milligrams of caffeine, so it's about the same as a cup of coffee. With no sugars, you won't have that crazy sugar high and a crash, or the jitters from 200 milligrams of caffeine all in one drink. I've been drinking these for a while now, and I will pick this over any other brand of energy drink that I have tried, and I've tried pretty much all of them. I've been feeling better, my stomach feels better, my back feels better, it's a cleaner energy, and it gets me through the day easier. The apple acai is my favorite flavor so far. I did get to finally try the cherry one, that one is delicious. But they have so many different flavors, there's also fruit punch, there's a mixed berry, a couple raspberry ones, so check it out for yourself. Use my promo code SFBTC and get 20% off. The link will be down below. Next up, on a serious note, have you ever wondered what would happen if you have some sort of emergency? Whether you live in Hurricane Alley, live where there's constant earthquakes or fires and have to get out quick. Maybe you're just driving along the road, and your car dies out in the middle of nowhere, and you've got to wait a few hours before a tow truck can come get you. Well, it's better to stay ready. There's no better way to stay ready than making sure you have everything you need. And the place that has that is PrepStartsNow.com. They have everything from tents to first aid kits, outdoor clothing that'll help keep you warm in the middle of winter. They've got tables, chairs, cooking equipment, and so much more. Everything you need just in case any kind of emergency happens. Go to PrepStartsNow.com. And don't forget to use my promo code SFBTC to get 15% off. The link is also below. That being said, I also want to say I'm sorry I didn't mention it last episode since it was right at the beginning of the month. Kind of dropped the ball on that one, but happy Pride Month to all LGBTQ out there. Stay strong. We will get through this. We survived it before. We'll survive it again. We always will. Lastly, thank you to everybody who's been listening for the entire last year. I can't believe it's been a year of doing this already. Kind of blows my mind, but thank you all who have been listening for a year. Thank you all who have picked up the show within the last year, within the last couple of months, or even within the last couple of weeks. Please keep listening. Please keep sending in your stories. I love doing this. I would love to hear from more of you. And please reach out. We can do more together than I can alone. And if you guys really like this, I don't care where you're from. My listeners in Singapore, the listeners in Kazakhstan, Brazil, Arizona, New Mexico, New York, Washington, Texas. I see all of you. And I want to hear from you. So please reach out. I know you all have your stories. I want to be able to keep this going. I want to be able to make a community out of this and remind everyone that we're not doing this alone. We all have crazy lives. We all have crazy jobs. Let's just get through the crazy together, right? Happy 1 year of recording and happy 1 year of listening to most of you. Thank you so much. Let's get into the episode. So this first story is a little bit of a doozy. It's one that I recently dug out of my memories. So I'm a department supervisor at this place. And it's my day off when I'm bebopping around with the family. My manager calls me and says, "Hey, I don't need you today, but I need you tomorrow. I know you're already scheduled to close, but your opener called out. I need you." Sure, no problem. So the next day I get to work. I'm stationed at the door for the next hour before we open, making sure that only employees are coming into the store, because apparently that's been an issue lately. Well, luckily enough, we don't have any issues like that today. We open up the store, and I go to my department, which is the service desk, also known as the complaint department, where I'll be for the next hour until my help shows up. Almost instantly, there's a lady that comes in, and she has a complaint about one of our associates throwing a cigarette butt on the ground. And what really bothered this customer is that they had seen this same associate do the same thing yesterday. So, of course, she had to go off on my manager about it. "This is just ridiculous. She could be killing birds, she could be killing cats. This is disgusting anyhow. Why can't she just snuff her cigarette and leave it in her car or throw it away in the trash can? Blah, 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 blah." Well, my manager finally gets the customer calmed down and assures her that he will be talking with the associate about it. Great. So the customer goes and starts shopping and leaves after a few minutes. The next 20 minutes or so go by fairly smooth and fairly quick until the next customer comes up to the desk. He's obviously irritated as well. Apparently, he needs a handful of stuff picked and ready to go within the next 2 hours. He claims that he's already been down by what he needed, and 3 separate associates told him that they can't help him at all. So he wants me to leave the desk and follow him so that he can show me exactly what he needs. Well, I can't leave the desk unattended, so I can't leave the desk right now. I'm the only one here, but I can look at everything with him on the computer and we can get his order put in, no problem. I'll get a couple of guys on it, we'll figure it out. Well, I try to tell him all of this, but I only get to, "I can't leave the desk." He doesn't even let me finish saying "right now" before he starts flipping his shit. "This is bullshit. Get me your fucking manager right now. None of you fucking people want to work in this store. What happened to customer service? What happened to work ethic? What happened to..." That's about the time that I start tuning him out, and I called my MOD back up to the desk. I tell him there's another customer that wants to speak to him, and he can hear the customer going off. So the MOD says, all right, I'll be there in a little bit. So that's what I tell the customer. Well, the MOD gets caught by a few customers, and it takes him about 5 minutes to get to the desk from where he was. I've been helping other customers, and my help for the desk just walked up and is getting logged into their computer. I say, oh, good, you're here. I'm going to see if I can help this customer that's been. Where is he? I can't find the customer anywhere at this point. He's nowhere in sight. And of course, now the MOD is walking down the aisle, coming up to the desk so he can come and talk to this guy that I thought was waiting. Well, we waited for about 5 minutes, looking around for him, and I say, well, I don't know what happened. Maybe he went to go and try and get everything himself. I don't know. I tell him what he looked like, what he was wearing, said, I'm hitting my brake. I have coverage up here. I need to hit my brake. MOD says he's going to wait at the desk for a little while longer and see if we can figure this whole thing out. I start walking to the break room, and of course, guess who pops out of one of the random aisles on my way? The lovely man who we were just looking for, and he's all upset. Oh, I thought you couldn't leave your station, he snaps at me. Well, sir, as I tried to tell you, I didn't have anyone else at the desk at the time, and I can't leave it unattended. Now I have someone else up there, and my manager's been waiting for you for about 5 minutes. You can go up and talk to him at this point. Have a good day, sir. And I walked away. As I'm walking past a couple of other associates, they pull me to the side, and they ask what his problem was with me. So I explained my side of the story, and they tell me their experience with this customer. Apparently, the other 3 associates that he said refused to help him before were the 3 associates I'm talking to that he demanded help from. One of them was a cashier who, guess what, can't leave their register unattended. And the other 2 associates were associates that work our parking lot. And by company policy, they aren't allowed to go in and help the customers in the aisles at any time. They are supposed to strictly focus on people needing loading assistance and the lots, cleanliness, and making sure they grab all the carts and all of that by policy. This is what I'm talking about when I say that 80 plus years of the customer is always right has ruined society. Some people just want what they want when they want it with no fucking excuses. And most of them are the absolute complete assholes who have probably never worked our jobs before. This next one is going to be about when I was a store manager over at a small retail place. One of my main managers that closed regularly, BB, who's shared a story with us before, was pregnant at the time. For anyone who's never dealt with a pregnant person or pregnancy in any way, shape, or form somehow, pregnant people tend to have a very heightened sense of smell. I, however, have very little to no sense of smell thanks to a COVID rapid test. That might be a story for another day. If you're that curious, put it in the comments, but this is going to take away from this story. Anyway, one day, BB comes in and she's complaining that the whole store smells horrible. But I can't smell anything. We had a customer that came in very regularly that smelled just god awful, to be perfectly honest. She asked if he came in today at all, and I said no, I hadn't seen him for almost a week actually. Me personally. Doesn't mean he hadn't been in here. So she said maybe her nose was just messing with her right now, and we all moved on. I left for the day, but I had put in a ticket for our rodent company to come in and check for any dead rodents and stuff like that. Luckily, they managed to come in the next day. They agreed that they smelled something too, something that smelled dead, but they checked all around the store and they couldn't find anything. BB comes in later that day, still complaining about the smell. I explained that they couldn't find anything anywhere, but they did back her up that it smelled horrible. We tried checking all of the fridges and all of the freezers, making sure nothing had gone out, nothing had spoiled in there. Who knows? It was mostly up at the front registers, though. at least according to her. And after about 3 days of not being able to figure out where the smell was coming from, BB lost patience and she started ripping the entire store apart, aisle by aisle, every night until she found what was going on. Finally, after a few days of tearing apart and rebuilding all these planograms, she found the source of the smell. Apparently, someone had changed their mind on buying a bag of what was frozen chicken, and they buried it underneath a pile of t-shirts. As soon as poor BB lifted the pile of shirts and unearthed the bag of rotting chicken, she almost threw up immediately. She had to run outside for some fresh air. She had to ask the cashier that was with her to throw away the bag and clean the area. We had to damage out all of the clothes that were touching the chicken. We had to damage out more than we really needed to, but we didn't want to take any chances. And the smell was still lingering. We had to wipe down all the shelves with bleach, and we had to throw all the display boxes away and reorder new ones, and it was just an all-around bad time. But just another day in the life of retail. Alright, we're going to go ahead and move on to the next one now. This is a story of an issue I had with one of my vendors, or representatives of a vendor, I guess. One day, I'm at work and we have a vendor out in the parking lot, and they're holding some sort of event to help boost their own sales. They have a canopy set up outside with the company name, all sorts of flyers, pens, and other goodies for people who come and check things out. She's also left out her laptop on the table, alone and unattended. I had to come outside to help a customer, and that customer I was helping pointed out that the canopy was left behind. Things were starting to fly off the desk, and then as we're cleaning up the flyers, he points out that there's a shady-looking character just kind of roaming around the parking lot. Okay, yeah, good eye, bud. That's a very well-known thief around here. Thank you. He's like, well, I'd be very concerned about that laptop that's left alone out here. Also, good eye. Thank you, sir. I will take care of this. I will get a hold of the representative. So I tried calling this rep's phone number a couple of times. Goes pretty much straight to voicemail. I stick around for a few more minutes, hoping she'll come back soon. That doesn't happen. So, again, I tried calling. No answer. So I just kind of said, fuck it, I've got to get back to work, but I don't want this to get stolen. So I left a voicemail letting the lady know, hey, this is who I am. This is my position in the store. I have your laptop. There was a shady character. He's a known thief, known for scoping out the parking lot, and he was trying to do that again. I didn't want him to get a hold of your laptop, so I brought it inside. It's nice and safe. Don't worry. Well, I go about my business. I'm taking care of a couple other customers and taking care of things around the store when one of the associates in my department sends me a text that the rep came in having an absolute meltdown. Apparently, she had yelled at and accused my lot attendant of grabbing her laptop, then another associate that was walking out on her lunch. Then they came up to the desk where I had taken the laptop, like I had told her in the voicemail, and flipped out on everybody up at the desk, saying, this is ridiculous, no one better ever do this again, blah, blah, blah. Well, obviously, I wasn't trying to cause any issues or anything like that. So as soon as I'm done with what I'm doing, I go to my department, figure out exactly what happened on their end, and I go outside to the canopy to clarify and maybe apologize if I scared her at first. But that's why I did try to call her. So I get to her little canopy. She looks up at me before I even get anything out and says sharply, are you the one that took my laptop? I responded with, yes. I tried calling you a few times. She cuts me off. I know what your story is. Just don't ever do that again. Do you understand? No one is going to steal it. And even if they do, it's got LoJack on it. So either way, just don't touch my stuff again. Got it? To which I just nodded and walked away. I did immediately go into the store, went to my upper management, and made sure I talked to them about it. I essentially told them flat out, someone needs to go and talk to her. Until I get an actual, legitimate, heartfelt, meaningful apology, that dumb bitch is not going to get any help from anybody up at the desk moving forward. That is not how you treat people. That is not how you treat coworkers and partners when you're supposed to be at a job. We were trying to help her out so that she wouldn't lose her fucking job because she was a done twit and left her very expensive work-related equipment untethered, unlocked, and ready to be stolen. I really don't think the company would have been very happy if it had been. Next time, I'm just going to let her get it stolen. Well, she leaves shortly thereafter this whole incident, and management never gets to go out there and say anything. But many of the people that knew the situation really implored me to call her company and tell them what had happened. Well, it was already past most business hours, and I was closing that night. Maybe I can try and do it tomorrow morning. The next day, I also close, so I don't come in till 1. But she's also supposed to come in. She sets up her canopy right across the parking lot from a canopy that my store has set up to advertise something else we have going on. She comes over and she tells the guy running our booth that today is her last day with the company and she's looking for something different. This job just isn't what she thought it would be. When I came in a few hours later, the associate she had told that to found me, knowing exactly what had happened the day before, and he told me what she had said. Well, my only words were good riddance to bad rubbish. Karma's a bitch, especially when you are. Anyway, moving on to the next story here. Oh, this guy was a real fun one. It was a 2-day journey, thank God. It ended up with my manager taking care of it because this guy was just a nut. So, I'm working at the returns desk of a hardware store. I just barely get clocked back in from lunch, and I see that it's pretty busy at my department. So I hurried up, clocked in, rushed up there. First customer I call over has a half-used gallon of paint that he was not happy with, and a 4-pack of lights. He had no receipt on him, says he only paid cash, and is already super irritated from the get-go. Well, I try to go through any and all avenues of finding a receipt in any way we can, just like we're taught to, when one is lost. Because if nothing else, we have to do it as a no receipt and it goes back as store credit. We have no options. Even then, without a receipt, there's a good 50-50 chance of it being denied. Pretty sure I've gone over this in a couple of past episodes, but just making sure we're still on the same page. Well, nothing is helping this guy. He's in a hurry, as most people usually are, and he just wants his damn cash. And he's starting to get, well, pretty rude, and he's yelling. Every time I try to tell him, sir, you need to calm your tone. If you keep yelling and being rude to me, you're going to leave. He responds with, I'm not fucking yelling at you. I just have a sore throat, goddammit. But he tones it down for a split second. As soon as I tell him that the only option without a receipt is to put it on store credit, if the system allows me to, he flips out. No, goddammit, I said cash! I paid cash, I'm fucking getting cash! I tried to reiterate to him that without a receipt, I can't do that. I have my goddamn receipt! I just don't have it with me, it's at home! To which I tried to respond with as calmly as possible. Well, sir, without me having the receipt in my hand, I can't help you. I can't do that. It's got to go in as a no receipt and it's got to be store credit. Unless you want to go home and grab your receipt, you're getting store credit. Now, last warning, if you keep yelling at me, you will have to leave. I'm not fucking yelling, goddammit! I just have a sore throat! Get me your fucking manager, you lazy asshole! You're fucking useless! Well, at this point, I've gotten another DS to come up to the desk, and he's trying to essentially distract this guy while I call upper management. As I'm on the phone with management, telling them we have a very belligerent customer up here, the customer starts yelling at the DS trying to help me. The manager hears everything over the phone, and he can start hearing it from across the store as the customer keeps getting louder. My manager says, I'm on my way. By the time I hang up, the guy is demanding his stuff. I handed him his stuff and informed him that the DS and I are done talking with him and that he could talk with our manager from here moving forward. They're on their way. You can talk to them. The customer starts storming off toward the registers, heading toward my manager. He sees my manager and starts yelling and cussing at him instantly. Well, my manager puts his hands up like, be quiet. And he pretty much immediately said, I've heard almost everything at this point. I'm not even dealing with you. Get the hell out of my store before I call the cops. Good! Call the fucking cops! I want them here! This is fucking ridiculous! The customer replies. Well, my manager looks at me as they're walking past. This poor guy's wife is trying to push and pull her angry husband out of the store, and my manager just says, call the cops, please. So I get on the phone. By the time I get a good description of the guy and they say we're about to dispatch someone, my manager came back in and told me to cancel the cops. The customer already left. Should be done now, right? Wrong. The very next day, same time, he comes back and I'm coming back for my lunch again. Luckily enough, he's already up at the desk and the same manager that kicked him out yesterday is already dealing with him. Apparently, he came in very calm and collective and not yelling anymore. I don't know if his wife scolded him after they left, saying how embarrassed she was, how embarrassing he was, and making a scene like that all over something so small, or maybe after he calmed down, he realized how much of an embarrassment he was on his own. I don't know. But he was much better this time around. I'm not sure what all exactly happened and if he got his money back or not, but I haven't seen him back since. So there's that. And we're going to go ahead and move on to the last one here. Yes, this is a little bit of a longer episode since I've got the couple of ads that I'm doing in my show rather than the ads Spotify or whoever wants to throw in on their own whims. I'm trying to balance that out and still make sure I give you guys a good few stories, not cut the episode short. Anyhow, this next story here, this one was actually kind of funny. I was trying not to laugh at the lady the whole time because she seriously thought she was just being so mean, and really I've dealt with way worse. And yeah, it's just all right. So I'm working up at the returns desk one day. An elderly lady looks like she's maybe in her 70s or 80s, with a little girl who looks like she's maybe 7 or 8. And they have a happy, playful little dog that just wants attention from everyone. Well, they come up to the desk and the elderly woman starts the conversation with, well, buddy boy, you won the lottery. You have to deal with the bitch of all bitches. The little girl looks unbothered, like this is usually how her, I'm assuming, grandma acts. So I respond with, I don't know about that one, ma'am. I've dealt with a lot of people. It would take you really trying to top some of these people I've dealt with. Well, the elderly lady smirked. She said, we'll see. Kind of curt and sharp, whatever. She goes on to explain that she's looking for, I believe, a piece for a cabinet. Can't remember right off, but I'm pretty sure that's what it was. She wanted like a piece for a cabinet. I was like, sure, no problem. The desk was pretty dead, so no big deal. I took her down to where I thought it was. Sadly, they had moved it on me, but I looked it up real quick, took her to where it actually was, and she just hurries up, grabs 4 or 5 packs, looks at me and says, I'm not coming back here. No offense to you, I'm just overdriving today, and I needed these. I responded with, no worries, no offense taken. I know what you mean. When you want to be done for the day, you want to be done for the day. I get it. Have a good rest of your day. The elderly lady responded with, Well, I hope I wasn't too rough or harsh on you. I hope I didn't run you down too bad. I couldn't help but laugh immediately. I told her, Ma'am, you have been one of the most pleasant customers I've dealt with all month. You're fine. Got her to the register and got her checked out. I went back to my department and we just went on with our day. But that was a fun one. She thought she was going to have me all sorts of stressed out or something. She was super simple. Wasn't even that rude compared to some of the other people. But that being said, I think we're going to go ahead and call this an episode. Thanks again for listening, guys. As always, I appreciate everyone who's been listening, and especially those who've been sending me their stories. Again, whatever I call you on the show is all you will ever be known as. And of course, I want to give a big shout out to Denise Esparza from Nisi Art on Instagram. She's the one who's responsible for the thumbnails that you guys see when I upload my episodes. Check her out on Instagram if you want to see what else she can do. I want to give a shout out to Nivation as well for the intro and the outro music that's provided for the show. You can find Nivation on Spotify and on Facebook. Nivation, Denise, you guys are awesome, and I appreciate both of you for helping me keep this going. With all that being said, this is Alpha signing off. Stay fabulous, everyone.